Hello there PlayTheGamers, my name is Charlie and welcome back to Central, and today we're going to be talking about two doctors in the story of zombies, one of them being an old character and one of them being very new. Our story is sadly coming to a close, and with the recent events that took place in GOROD KROVI, we can now start to predict what the final outcome will be for Primus. 3 of the 5 souls have been released from the summoning key, sent to help Maxis with one last final battle. However, what happened to the other 2 souls inside of the key? Nyarlathotep, or the Shadow Man, and Richtofen were nowhere to be seen in the final cutscene for GOROD KROVI. This has caused a lot of confusion among the community, and hopefully in this video we'll try to debunk it and answer some of the questions that we were left with. Let's start with Richtofen. Richtofen has been known to be a traitorous scumbag all across the story. Although in Black Ops 3, his character takes a more positive turn. Tasked with the objective to set the universes straight, Edward takes his 3 other companions on journeys all across reality itself. However, let's think back to the Giant. Richtofen's first mission was to travel back to Darish just after his betrayal in the facility. Doing so, he kills his older self and tells his team that he has collected his soul using an artifact, this being the summoning key. Yet, in the opening cinematic, there is no visual evidence of him collecting his soul. Now, what if Richtofen really didn't collect his soul? What if he travelled back to Darish just to convince the others that they must do the same? Like I said, Richtofen has been known to be a liar in this story. He lied his way into the Aether, he lied to the transit crew, and he lied to Dr. Maxis while working for Group 935. It's a reoccurring trait that Edward carries out very well. So, if this is true, the souls he has collected may be contributing towards something far worse to benefit Edward. Now let's say this isn't true, and Edward really is collecting the souls for the good of the world. Why did we not see the appearance of the Shadow Man? Nyarlathotep, or the Shadow Man, has been trapped inside the key since Shadows of Evil. However, something between then and Stalingrad has happened, where he may have actually escaped. Let's talk about Dr. Monty. Dr. Monty is a character we've been introduced to in Black Ops 3. At first we viewed him as just the guy who created the Gobblegums, however in GOROD KROVI, Treyarch decided to give him a voice and a reason to be here. He first talks to us when we hit round 14 and again one round afterwards, so I'll play the quotes here that we can hear from him, and I'll compare them to the Shadow Man's quotes.
I have been watching. I have seen each and every one of your misdeeds. I know who you are. But question.
I have been watching. I have seen each and every one of your misdeeds. I know who you are. Sounds ominous, doesn't it?
They both sound very similar. Somehow, somewhere, the Shadow Man may have been able to take the persona of Dr. Monty and yet again try to manipulate us into doing what he wants. This is where things get interesting. The first 2 quotes we get from Monty are kind of comedic. Straight away, we as players take a loving to him because he's able to make us laugh.
Sounds ominous, doesn't it? Good, because it fucking is. Hello? Testing. Do you hear me? Testing. Actually, I don't know why I'm doing all this. I'm almost 100% certain that you can hear me. Entirely up to me, you numbskulls would be the last people I would entrust with this, but due to factors outside my control, you're all I've got. Yelling all sorts of obscenities. And by the way, your language is fucking disgraceful sometimes. You should wash your mouth out with soap.
With additional quotes from his Easter egg, he starts to talk about more serious threats at hand. He makes Richtofen out to be evil and deceptive, telling each other not to trust him and that he has his gaze upon Edward. Dr. Monty is not only convincing our characters to believe him, but the players themselves. We as the players will immediately start to feel attached to Monty because of his funny attitude and plausible points. We know that Edward can be deceptive and that he can lie. We'll always remember that. And when a new character is introduced to remind us of that, we immediately keep in mind what Richtofen is actually like. So the real mastermind behind Monty is Nyarlathotep himself. Manipulation is his forte, and in Shadows of Evil, we understood that. Even after the ending cutscene, he talks to each character apart from Edward in an attempt to turn them against him. So could the Shadow Man really be Dr. Monty? I believe so. Come DLC 4, the community will be divided into two. Those who support Richtofen and those who oppose him. I can honestly see a Mob of the Dead style ending for our story, but I just hope we make the right choice. There's a lot to take in from this map, and it's opened up many different chapters within the story. We now have confirmation that the Keepers and Apothecans were once brethren. We have a mentioning of our transit characters and the blood samples, messages from the King of the Eisendrache, and our lost Mexican subject Pablo. Everything is up in the air at the moment, and hopefully with the last DLC, things will become a bit clearer. It's apparent that things are coming to an end, and everything's going to soon wrap up. So let me leave you with these two questions to think about, and I'd love to see your answers in the comments. If Richtofen truly is evil, what does that make Dr. Monty? And where do you think the Shadow Man's soul actually is? Cheers guys, leave a like on the video, subscribe to Central, and I'll see you soon. And where do you think the Shadow Man's soul actually is?
It's over there.
Fuck you! Air at the moment. And hopefully, with the last DLC, everything will become much clearer. No, fuck you, it's meant to be serious. If Richtofen truly is evil, what does this make Dr. Monty?
Gay.
I'm gonna turn your fucking Xbox off in a second. If Richtofen... Such a dick.